Yellow sapphire. Beautiful. Fabulous energy. If you ever get a chance to find a piece, good luck if you can. Wow, amazing. It's been very, very productive this past few days with new crystals. I don't know if anybody saw the Alexandrites. It's taken nearly a year to get them pieces, but they sold within a few minutes, maybe an hour or something like that, 2 hours, I don't know, but they sold pretty quick. Phenomenal energy. Probably one of my favorite crystals, which are very difficult to get hold of, really difficult. And I was just lucky enough to be able to come across 9 pieces, and they all sold. I gave one away to a dear friend, and yeah, people love them. And then the Tibetan quartz, they were absolutely gorgeous working on them, really beautiful. And some beautiful pieces that I'm working on right now, which are prototypes, really gorgeous. You can call them mixed crystals, but they're not just mixed crystals, they're crystals specifically created for a purpose, and that purpose sometimes is revealed as you're working with them. Sometimes you put them together because you kind of think what crystals would work together for a certain reason. So that's been really interesting. That's really kept me sane. I don't know what I'd do without my crystals, to be fair. So that's been beautiful. I hope you're doing okay, guys, wherever you are. So I don't know if you've noticed this, but when social media pumps out certain narratives, those narratives seem to be exploding, like literally taking the internet by storm. And it seems to, at this moment, there seems to be a group of women who are talking about relationships, and it's really interesting. It's really interesting because what I've noticed is that it avoids all and every angle of the bigger picture. So people are talking about, these women are talking about, I never understood relationships from the aspect of spirituality. So, many people, when you're channeling, when you're giving spiritual reading, you channel certain energy, and that energy isn't about a certain pattern in behavior. it's the bigger picture. And a lot of people who work in the mind, so they may be they may have I don't know, PhDs in psychology and stuff like that. They miss the bigger picture. And in truth, when you listen to it, you think, okay, that makes sense. When they talk about a relationship, when you're with somebody, like don't walk away from somebody, or spirituality says, you don't have to put up with that. You can walk away and, be with somebody that loves you and you love them, and all of that makes no sense in a PhD mindset. But in the spiritual world, that's not really what we focus on. We focus on the bigger picture. So I'll give you a great example. When you're talking to me about your relationship, or I'm attuning to your relationship, it's on a very low level. That low level, spiritually speaking, is you did this to me, I don't like you, and from a spiritual point of view, we're trying to come in at a point where if we gave you the spiritual answer to it, you'd scratch your head and walk out and not know what we're talking about. So I give you a great example. Okay, so somebody comes in, a beautiful lady comes in, and her boyfriend after, or say that the husband has cheated and she found out via a phone message, or she heard it on the grapevine, and now you're in front of me and you found out after being with your husband for 20 years, 15 years, and you're sat in front of me and you're wanting the answer, not spiritually, you're wanting it, you want me to give you the answer to why this has happened. And you wouldn't understand if I explained to you why it happened, probably. And you want me to explain, you know, why he's a bad person and why he did this, and was he manipulated by the other woman? Was she, you know, was it a friend of mine that you know, did so? You're wanting to fulfill or to satisfy something which, you know, doesn't satisfy. You know that nothing that is said satisfies anything. If you find out that somebody's cheated on you, nothing, whatever you say, you know, if I said to you, yeah, he's a bad person, psychology would break it down in a very low level way to get over it. You know, I don't think there's any real answer with psychologists when it comes to a breakup like that. Whereas spiritually speaking, if we were to just stand back and say to you without any filter and without worrying whether you're going to understand it or not, it would be that we would smile and say your time and your purpose has been served. And at this particular moment, your path is to find your own path, to move from this path, because you've served what you needed to serve. It could be that you have 3 children and now they're of age, and now you have to move on to experience a different part of your life. The only thing that keeps you in that life is a false narrative by earthly human beings that make certain rules and faiths that don't really have anything to do with the spiritual world. So we live in a fake reality, and you've seen it more and more now. So basically what it means is that there is this understanding that if we can see the future, it must mean that your future is already there. I mean, it makes sense, right? We're not making that future up per se, but there is a future there for you. And actually, no, I don't see you with this man in 20 years' time. I completely see you somewhere else on a different island. And that happened often when people scratch their head. Happened to me. Dodie read for me and says, yeah, it doesn't look like you're going to be with your wife, and it looks like you're going to be overseas quite a lot, moving back and forth, but you're not going to be with your wife. It looks like there's a point where you're not going to be with you. I just denied it. Absolutely bang on. Soon as China turned 18, me and my wife separated, and we separated for, if you want to talk about the separation in a low level separation, you can say, oh, this is why that happened and that's why that happened. No, you don't need to talk about that. That's nonsense. That's fake reality. That doesn't exist. It doesn't heal. It doesn't fix anything. The truth is, sometimes we need things to happen for us to go on our path, because it's hard for the physical brain to separate, because it's used to, like a rabbit, used to the same run, and it wants that, and it feels comfortable, and it feels safe, and it doesn't want that to change. That's the human body, which, to be fair, is does that deliberately. You just took my knife and fork away. What for? No reason. Okay, so yeah, take me right off the path. Jesus Christ. If there is Easter. I can't remember what I said. I mean, there was no reason for the guy to come out and take my knife and fork away at all. No reason at all. And this is the spiritual aspect of little things like that you realize. So I literally that just threw me, so I can't remember what I said. So this low level energy of, oh, it was your fault, it's my fault, is bullshit. That's what keeps us hating each other. That's what keeps us in the past. This is the brain, low energy. The brain is only good for one thing. When you cross the road, you look left and right. Thank you, brain. Other than that, shut your mouth. Stop talking. Stop trying to tell me anything. Just shut up. You know nothing about this world. You know nothing about the my spiritual path. Shut up, and I'll tell you when to think. When you take a menu and you read it, thank you, brain. That's exactly what you're there for. Other than that, shut up. So the point being is, all of these, they seem to be pumped out like crazy at the moment, and I always wonder why that is. And they're all talking about relationships and why, this is how we should be, and this is the importance of this, and it may sound extremely powerful, right? But on a spiritual level, when you're listening to this, you're looking at it and thinking, this only works for NPCs. This only works for non-spiritual beings. This only works for the ones that have no connection and no empath. They just work in a PhD man-made psychology, which I think totally fucks people up even more. You start going to a psychologist, have I seen some bad stuff with that. I mean, years, and I can tell you this, and hand on heart, my clients will tell you that their children or their teenagers or mums and dads going to psychologists for like 20 years and having one healing session, and in that healing session it changes their outlook, everything changes, and they stop going from one healing session. That didn't happen all the time, but it happened a lot. So like coming for a spiritual reading, if we feel that you are at the point where you are ready for the message, and it's like, to break it down, first of all, we have to break something down within your mind, and the darkness and the fear and the grief and the heavy energy. So normally how we do it is like, okay, we can't get to point here until we get all these other points, and we need to heal the mind. So as we heal the mind, first of all, we say, look, your husband, we look at your husband's life. We look at everything about your husband, what he's going through, everything that he is, everything. And as we look at that, we share the message of connecting in a spiritual manner to a husband who's just cheated. So you explain all the things about that. So why did you just explain that? You explained it so that now you can get the connection back to your husband, the husband who loves you still. What he's done is just like, it's brain stuff. It's like he's probably going through I would have said, he's gone through a midlife crisis, or he saw his father doing the same thing, and it's just one of those brain things that people do. And it's not like he did it to be spiteful for you. He's now in a terrible place. I'll read and feel it, that he's in a terrible place. He now feels lost, he's broken. He loves you with all his heart. But that's just brain stuff. When you then start to expand and see the bigger picture, is that there comes a point in our life where if we're stuck in that same place, and if we truly look at our life now and ask ourselves, not the brain, not the fear, but really truly, do you really feel happy in this relationship? Are you really content in this relationship? In the sense that, can you see yourself living the rest of your life with this man, being stuck in this energy? Because this man seems to be stuck and he doesn't seem to want to move forward, and it feels like your spirit needs to expand, needs to move forward, needs to experience something that is so powerful and it cannot be explained, but this is your destiny. So you're hurting yourself. But if you think about this, if he didn't do this to you, you would never have left him. You would never have left him because of this, and because of what you believe is your faith in you, and because you're an empath, and because you're loving and kind, and because you would never hurt anybody. Maybe he needed to do this for you, to set you free, to move forward. And then you expand a bit more. I'll go deeper and deeper and more expanse. So then the lady's expanding. And then come a year from that moment, the lady comes back, and I look at her cards and say, oh wow, you're on a beautiful journey. I can see this lovely man with blue eyes. This is a beautiful journey together, and I can see the joy that you're experiencing, which is completely different from your past relationship, and it's a new experience. You're learning so many new things, and then I could say, like, your daughter's really happy because I'm just thinking back on one point. You're in Mexico now. It looks like you're in Mexico. Your daughter's coming back and forth. She's loving it. She really likes the new man. She's really sad about her dad because her dad can't move forward. He's in a bad place, blah, blah, blah. And then the lady, after I finished the reading, the lady said, yeah, I mean, and then I said to her, if you were to see what you saw, what you didn't see when I was sat with you to begin with, what I could see, how easier would this transition have been? And this lady said it would have been absolutely amazing. And I was so stuck in my brain and the psychology to it all that now I can look back and see that this was all divine intervention. It was all absolutely as it should have been. Now, some of you might start screaming at me now and getting angry, saying, well, that didn't happen for me. My husband left me and look where I am now. And I would say, well, a lot of the times it's because we stop ourselves from moving forward. And I have seen personally people being so stuck in this brain, in this belief, in this anger, in this fear, in this I don't have enough, and what about me? Where am I going to do? What about my children? That what happens then is that we are frozen in that energy, not to be able to move forward. And that's why healers always try to help you clear the fear and the worry, so that you can expand your life and allow what is meant to be in. And the thing is, if you're in a bad place, there is nobody in the world who wants to sit with you and be with you. If you're feeling bad about your husband and what he did to you, and you don't believe in any men anymore because that man cheated on you, so you don't believe in love anymore. So nobody wants to be around that. But when you say, you know, that happened for reasons beyond my understanding, at least you could say that. And let's see where this takes us. Let's just flow with this. And yes, I'm heartbroken, and of course you would be, because somebody's cheated on you. Happens to all of us. But once we let go of that and start to build on, okay, the next person who comes in my life, I'm going to be a better wife. What did I do which could have been better? All brain stuff. You have to clear that out, bullshit out, right? Because that's nonsense, but that's the psychological way that they're like. Once you've got rid of all of that nonsense and you think, okay, I'm resolved now, I don't hate my husband anymore, I wish him love and all that, I wish him well. Well, some people say that, but they don't really mean it. So you have to work on the spiritual aspect of that, of realizing that all of those little stupid things that hurt us all the time, that when you look at it in a spiritual aspect, it just melts everything away. But some people are so stuck in what she did or what he did, and you know, it freezes you. You can't move on, because the whole point is that part of the journey of meeting somebody and going through that relationship and that connection, spiritually speaking, if you cannot heal from that, in the sense of, okay, it's not about forgiveness per se, that's all brain stuff, but it is in a sense, and it isn't. It's about respect of everybody's choice in life. I don't expect you to do anything for me. If you do, I'm so thrilled and overjoyed, but I don't expect it. If you just take that one little aspect of a relationship and oh yeah, but I've got to trust him. I've got to, expect him to do so. That's why we're together. Okay, well, get ready for a shitty life. Like, you're with me because I've got a ring on my finger. Okay, good luck with that one. I think we've seen enough in the world that doesn't work. That's bullshit. Most people say something and they don't mean it most of the time, just like all the influencers out there saying things. If you said, like, I'm nailing you to a cross now about what you just believe in, they'd probably say, oh no, I don't believe it. They're no martyrs, trust me. Most people change their mind like they do ice cream. A different ice cream from day to day, but they sound like they know what they're talking about, and they're brilliant, and I know. You know nothing, all of you, most of you on social media who are influencers. They know nothing. So I know it sounds not very nice to say that, but it is literally true. They're actors. They're all acting now. Kids are all acting. Teenagers all acting, all actors. None of them are true to the core at all. They're just talking the talk that they want, that people want to hear. They're actors. Everybody's an actor now on a stage. So, but going back to this beautiful essence of truth in spirituality, in our destiny. Our destiny is set in stone, but we don't know that. But what we can say is that my destiny's set in stone, don't know what the friggin' hell it is, but whatever happens to me, I'm going to go with that without fighting, without screaming and shouting, without saying, it's my karma, without saying, why do I always meet narcissistic people, and so on, and just say, it's just what it is, and on a level of, okay, whoever I've met, right, what is this experience? Questioning the experience. What, it's corny, I know, but what do I need to learn from it? How do I grow from it is the most important thing. How do I overcome it is even more important, in a way that doesn't affect my journey. But at the end of our journey and our last breath, the only thing that has any value is how you overcome and how you felt that energy going through it, because feeling the energy of what you're going through now is so important to the collective. And that sounds like a Borg statement, but when your essence, when your drop of pure water goes back into our spirit world ocean, the information that you've been through in all your life goes into that water, and it adds to the expansion of knowledge through experience. So, it's like, oh my God, if I go back into that water, my experience was shitty, which means that they're not going to want that. No, they're going to want that. They're going to want everything. They want to know everything, because there is no good or bad. There is no right and wrong. It's experience, and it's hard for people to grasp that. If you spiritually grasp that everything is an experience, then you wouldn't feel bad, neither would I. But we live in an earthly body, and we've been programmed as children that there is right and wrong. And of course there's right and wrong when you talk about somebody getting a hammer and smashing you over the head. But I'm talking about everything that we go through. Like, I broke my foot a couple of years ago, and like, people were saying, oh, you broke your foot because of this reason and that reason, and they were all trying to tell me that it's, it just shows you've got no protection of the spirit world, and you get all of these people saying the most crazy stuff. But that break of my foot, if I was to sit down now and look at that, what was it? What was the experience? Well, I learned a lot through that experience. I learned to understand people. I learned to understand myself. I learned to understand herbs. I learned to understand new oils. I learned to understand things about my actual body, fixing, healing itself. I learned so many things on a spiritual level of what I was doing. And that experience is worth its weight in gold to the spirit world. All of these things are expanding. It's expanding our spirit world. You might ask why that expansion happens if spirit world is all seeing, all knowing, and all that. Well, it's something that I've asked, and I've never really got a straight answer to it as one particular answer. But experience is something that they showed me as a bowl of fruit. So what I got from that was, so if I'm eating food, I'm constantly alive. If I don't eat food, my physical body dies. So I kind of thought what you're trying to say is that every experience that I come back with is almost like food. It's energy, it's new energy that feeds our home world. That's just one aspect. There were so many others. So, you can't just say it's one thing. It's so many things. That's the problem with our limited thinking. We're told that 1 and 1 equals 2. And that is not, that is brain stuff. That is just, it keeps us in a prison. It keeps us in a cell. They tell us that this is how we should live. We should get a house. We should get married. Blah, 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 blah. We should have children. Like all of those things, if it's forced on people, you find that a lot more stuff kind of becomes more of a challenge rather than allowing the flow. And sometimes, like when you start going really deep and you start asking yourself, is everything as it should be? And it is, to a degree, but then there's also a flip side to that. And sometimes there are things that happen that come in our way to test us and to see if we are strong enough. It tests us to see, like sometimes it's there to try and gently nudge us in a wrong direction or a right direction. So we're always being it's not tested per se, because that's the wrong word, but we're always being challenged all the time. So if somebody said to me, if I was born in let's say a Muslim family and I was a woman, and my father and mother said to me, you are going to marry the person that we want you to marry, right? You would say to me, well, was that set up by the universe? I would say personally that was a challenge that I came to conquer. Like my dad used to beat me every day, nearly every day. I came to conquer that. Why? Because I needed to break the mold of that. I needed to work on that and to see how I would behave as I got older with my children. And a lot of people who beat who get beat then beat their children. I've never lifted a hand to my children, never wanted to, and I don't like the word never had to, because there's no such thing as you having to lift your hand to beat your children. So I've never felt the need or want to hurt my children in any way, or to give them a slap across the face or smash their bum because they deserve it. None of that. I come from a love place, and I didn't need to do that. My children were absolutely incredible. And sometimes, yes, my son once, when I was playing football with him, I wound him up so much because I wouldn't let him have the football that he swore at me. And I just laughed inside and thought, well, that's my bloody fault for winding him up. He should be playing with it too. So, he was just totally frustrated. So, anyway, the point being is that everything that we go through in the bigger picture is all as it should be. But there are challenges put in our way deliberately. There are accidents that do happen. There are interferences every day. Look at the guy who just picked up the knife and fork. Why did that happen? Well, why should that happen to try and stop me? Or was it coincidence? Or was that just normal? He just did it because it was normal. No, he didn't do it. He didn't have to come out here. There's nobody out here. Why did he come out here? There were no need to come out here. To pick a knife and fork and cutlery, what for? No need to. But we shouldn't have to get too deep into that and to think about it, because it's not really that important. But there's, what I'm trying to say is, I know it sounds stupid, but a little thing like that tells you that there is outside interference. There's always something trying to stop us. And if I didn't allow that to affect me, I would have overcome. I would be stronger than, just like when you're sat meditating and a fly lands on your nose, you can either go like that, or you can just leave it there and just, or just not allow anything to affect you. Of course, that is the stronger way. Ultimately for your body, it's stronger for you. Ultimately for your path, it's stronger than you. But we all have reactions. We all react in whatever way we do, because it's the experience. And we look back on our life. I mean, I can tell you that I was never more stronger in my life than when I was a full-time healer. Nothing would affect me at all. I was meditating all the time. I was doing 5 to 10 sessions a day, which is like 1 hour, 20 minutes. So I was in that zone. I was in that energy. So nothing really affected me. Nothing really bothered me, and my energy was so strong, so strong. My connection was so strong. So now I'm not doing as much, so I'm not exercising, spiritually speaking. Yes, I work with my crystals every day. That's beautiful. But I notice that when I'm on social media, I start picking up them bad vibes, because the frequency of social media is now demonic. For sure it is. You can say what you want, but there's a lot of demonic energy in there, and it tries to pull you into that. And no, I shouldn't be doing that. But at the same time, I still feel as if I want to know what's going on in the world. I still want to share truth to you guys. I want to share things that are important, that I think are important. I mean, the things that happen in this world. I mean, a lot of the times that we talk about stuff like, you know, the things that darkness in this world controls, the people who in charge, those that have money beyond understanding, those that control this world, they manipulate this world in so many ways. I spoke about CERN many years ago, before anybody even knew what it was. When I spoke about CERN, it was because I didn't even know about it back then. When I started this work 20 years ago, I didn't really know anything about it until I had 2 people who worked in CERN. I had people who came to me who worked in CERN, and I gave readings for them, strangest readings in the world. I've mentioned it before, about putting photographs in front of me and asking me where these people are. Not until after I finished that I realized that they were telling me that they worked at CERN when we went for a coffee. So I started looking into CERN and started trying to figure out what it is and what it's about. And it's evil. It's the core of it is evil. The people who work there, most of them are just the scientists. They don't know, but the core of why they do it, the compartmentalize everything, so nobody knows anything. But if you stand back and look at it, you realize that it's demonic. And what they're trying to do is bring forward frequency and energy that is dark, and they can open portals. That's what it's all about. It's nothing to do, well, it is to a degree, because you always need something which is a sleight of hand. Like, oh, we're cancer research. We want to find a cancer cure. Right. Stand back. Look at it. You've never found a cure. You've never wanted to find a cure. In fact, you suppress all the cures. Right. Now you know what it's all about. So CERN isn't about the God particle. It's got nothing to do with any of that. It's to do with opening this shape, the way it is, what it's trying to do, this kaleidoscope. It is to change the frequency in the air. It's trying to change something. So, you know, that's why certain people disappeared there. And all of that information's gone. When they switch it on and start to do what they do, people actually disappear. That's because they're opening portals and people get lost in those portals. And what they're trying to do is bring the frequency of dark, of entity, attachment. And that's why a lot of people now have got attachments. I'll tell you a story. I'm noticing this more and more and more, and I know it sounds crazy because we all live in an earthly world, but let me tell you, yesterday there was a girl over there, and she was sat opposite me. She couldn't have been older than 20 years old. She had a dog, and she got up, and I looked at her, and what I saw was a demonic attachment. And it was so awful. It was so aggressive that her look actually frightened me. And then it went, and then she snapped out of it. And I thought, that is really, really heavy. That was really heavy. Now, I am seeing this more and more. I'm telling you, more people are getting attachments and they don't know it. More people thinking that they're talking to themselves, but they're actually listening to a demonic demon or an attachment or an entity or a trapped spirit. There are many different forms, but I'm telling you guys, sometimes you can be talking to somebody and they are not who you're talking to. It is something else that's attached to them. And this is becoming more evident day after day. And that's why empaths, that's why people who are connected, who can feel this, are struggling with humanity. Why? Because when they started opening, when CERN started opening and they started dealing with time and matter and space, as I said many times, they've got the technology that they can introduce things to bring things in the future and the past. They can do so many things that can disrupt this world, that can manipulate this world. You don't think that when they're trying to create something, and when something isn't going to plan, they can't go back and rewrite that script because they've got that technology. They have all of the technology of moving from one point to another, from moving back and forth. They've got that technology. That's why I believe wholeheartedly that though certain people who do so well, I think to myself, I wonder often to myself, are they really of this reality, or can they move through the reality? Have they got certain, anyway, it goes beyond people's thinking and understanding. It's like, yeah, this bullshit. Yeah, you might be right, it might be bullshit. But my feeling is, at the start of this conversation that we had, there is a lot of people out there now who are coming on and starting to say that, as we can see, that people are not getting married, they're not finding anybody, they're narcissistic now behaviour because they don't want to be with somebody and all that. That was all taken out of a brain dead concept that a lot of spiritual people were just spewing, but not being able to fully. It's like giving somebody a piece of information and missing out the most important piece of information. So whenever I used to give readings for people, and whenever I used to talk about this idea of finding yourself and being on your own and being happy with yourself, you need to follow through with everything else. You need to explain everything else, and some people don't listen. I used to talk about my marriages and say I was happily married. I brought my daughter up from birth to 18 years old. I was with her every day. I was with my wife every day. We worked hard. We did things together. We learned. It wasn't always easy, but we worked through it. We experienced that. And there's nothing wrong with being with somebody. Somebody somewhere missed out the part by saying there's nothing wrong with being, single. There's nothing wrong with finding your true core value. There's nothing wrong with being your best friend. But there's also nothing wrong with meeting somebody that you love and somebody that you're with. There's nothing wrong with having a relationship with them. There's nothing wrong. If you want to get married, get married. But it's you can say whatever you want in the what's it called? I like handfast. Like I love you today, and that's as much as I can give you. Oh, I want more than that. Well, then you're talking brain stuff now. This is the ego. This is the fear. A ring holds two people together, when you say for better, for worse, how many people in this world have been in a marriage where they were with that person for 20 years and wish they hadn't have been, but they made a commitment because they're a soul that believes in commitment and was brainwashed to say that if you know, this commitment, if you break it, then you're a bad person. That's all bullshit, guys. All of that is bullshit. It's absolute BS. If you're with somebody, it's not because of a ring. It's not because of a commitment. It's because of love and your path and journey that you're on. And how long you're on that journey, you don't know. And how long you're going to be together, you don't know. I'm going to be with my partner forever. Have you ever met people who are with their partner forever? I know tons of people who are with their partner. They got married and they're with them right till the end. And you listen to their children and they say, my mum absolutely hates my dad. They can't stand each other, but they're with each other because they're frightened of going their own way, or they're with each other because of the children. Bigger picture. You are together. You're going through what you're going through, and you know in your heart what's the right thing to do, and you're fighting against this brain that's telling you what other people are going to think. But your heart, your consciousness is saying maybe that this is the point that you've served your purpose together, and now it's time to move forward and serve your next purpose, your next challenge, your next experience. And you see, people don't want to hear that because they've been programmed by religion. They've been programmed by mums and dads and their mums and dads. Again, I got married. Would I get married again? I have no idea. Would I get, well, why would you get married if you don't believe it? Well, maybe I love somebody and maybe I want them to be happy, and if they believe in marriage that much, then I'll do it for them. I love them and it doesn't bother me. The paper doesn't matter. The contract doesn't matter. Contracts mean fuck all, nothing. I've had more contracts in my life as a businessman where people have ripped the contract up and say I'm not honouring this contract, and I say no problem, it's okay, don't do it. I'm not bothered. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to stand there saying you signed that contract, I'm going to take you to court, you married me, you said this. I'm like, you know what, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Yeah, but I invested my time, I invested my money, I invested my life in you. And like, pathetic. It's just pathetic. It's got nothing to, and if you cleared all that nonsense away and brought a child up and say, you know, as a child's growing up, if you love somebody and you feel you're meant to be together, then be together, right? Investing in something, creating something, building a house together, having children, it's all beautiful. It's called life. But we've been hijacked by this invisible dark force that makes people suffer. And suffering shouldn't be. And suffering only comes with lack of self-worth. And that's all created, by the way. A fear of loss, a fear of not having, all man-made creative, all created man-made from a child upwards, always making you think that you have to have money, you have to be rich, you have to have a job, you have to have this, you have to have that, all created to make you fear. It's an illusion, all an illusion, all of it's an illusion, a created evil illusion to keep you in that narrative, so that you hate, or you can't stand, or you're jealous, or you're this, all created by man, evil man, or evil darkness. If you have no attachment to money, it doesn't bother you, it doesn't affect you like it affects so many people. I have a farm, it's beautiful, but I'm not, if I didn't have that farm tomorrow, I couldn't give a shit. It's only a farm, it's land, it's not mine anyway, I only borrow it for the time I'm here. What's wrong with you? Why are you so... Seriously. So, anyway, I forgot what I'm going to say. I still have to learn how to so I don't know what I said then. So there you go. Sorry guys. I sit out here to keep out of the way of everybody. And yeah, I mean, he's just doing his job, I guess. Okay. I wish you a lovely day. There you go. Yeah, oh, that's right, my farm. Yeah, it's lovely, but I don't have an attachment to it. In fact, I felt bad because when I was in it, I said to Jan when he came and looked at it, I said, I don't have any feelings for it. I don't like, oh, this is mine. He says, that's because you've gone above attachment, which is a beautiful thing. And it is to a degree, but then when you're with somebody that is still in maybe a low level energy, then their attachment and you don't have an attachment doesn't really work very well. It's difficult. So I literally couldn't give a shit about the farm. It's lovely, it's land, it's got lovely things on it. Hard work, costs fortunes to keep, but I have no attachment to it. I have no attachment to anything. Lily, I love her to bits, but I don't have the attachment that you would, you know, like I'd do anything for Lily. I love her, but I don't have an attachment, meaning that I've invested in her. She belongs to me. She owes me. I've invested all this money in her and time. I don't have that attachment. I love her for who she is. Whether she's wearing a pink top on or not, I love her for everything about her. But I don't have an attachment. And the problem is when you talk about these things, people just misinterpret everything you're saying because some people just don't understand what I'm saying. They just don't get it because they can only come from the place that they understand. And that's not being awful because I was there for many years as an auctioneer, and I realized that I didn't want to be there anymore. I was chasing my tail. I was trying to pay the bills. It was all about work. It was all about money. It was all about, you know, and I didn't want it anymore. That's why I gave it all up. I knew something wasn't right. I don't want to live the rest of my life like this. There's something more, and that's why I left. I didn't leave England per se because I hated it, because to be fair, at the very last month that I was working in Kingsgate Shopping Centre, I made more money in that 1 month than I did the whole year. And actually, me and Susie looked at each other and said, wow, look how much money we've just made. Like, why are we going? I mean, look how much money we're going because, and now I realise that amount of money paid all our Visa cards off. So we had no debt when we left. But the point being is that, like, would you stay if you just made 17,000 in a weekend? Like, this was like 30 years ago. Was it 20 years ago? Would you leave that behind? Or would you say, like, think we should stay another few weeks? No, we just knew we needed to go. The bigger picture wasn't about the money. We realized it wasn't about the money. There was something more in life. And that's why it's the same energy as being in a relationship. Oh, we should still stay because of this. Oh, I still remember the good times. And like, no, there's something more. I need to break free from this, something more. And I don't advocate to leave people. I don't advocate. But, you know, when I saw, you know, women and men come into my place, like feeling so bad and looking for stepping stones. And I said, don't look for a stepping stone. That isn't, you're not fulfilling your destiny. If you're looking for a stepping stone so that you can leave your husband because you can fall onto somebody else, then you're going to end up in the same energy. This is about you leaving for the reasons why you know you have to leave. Not, okay, I'm going to edge my bets and meet somebody else. No. Oh, no. That doesn't work. And there's so many things that I saw in people. Like, I'm staying with my husband and I'm looking at the cards thinking, you'll probably go before him if this is the way they look at me in shock. Like, I know why you've come here. You want to know when your husband's going to die so that you can take the wealth and enjoy yourself. No, you need to leave now. And normally when that happened, the wife always dies before the husband. It's incredible what fate, what happens. It's incredible, and it's true. You know, like, oh, I'll wait for him to die and then I can enjoy my life. No. The point being is you need to leave now because you know you're not meant to be together. So you should follow that truth. So whatever I feel, I'll follow. I won't stick at something if I know it's not right. And I follow my truth. I follow my instinct. I follow my intuition. I follow the whispers from the spirit world. My consciousness speaks to me, you know. But check in on yourself, because sometimes you're not actually listening to your consciousness. Somebody's speaking, and it could be a dark entity that's attached to you, that's trying to manipulate you. So you have to make sure that you know who you're listening to, right? There's so many aspects of what's happening now in this world, and I see people sabotaging their life because of attachments, because of entities that are onto them. Like that girl I saw, it really scared me. I mean, that was so dark, and the entity, the demonic energy, it wasn't the girl, it was the demonic energy. I looked into the eyes of this demon, and it looked at me with so much strength. It looked at me with, like, I know you, I see you, and like, I'm like, wow. We must have stared for about, I would say, a good 20 seconds. And you don't normally stare at somebody for more than 2 seconds. This girl, whatever was attached to her, was staring at me like it wanted to kill me. And I'm like, I'm seeing this more and more. It's just I'm just observing these things. So there you go. There's my chat this morning. We've gone all over the place. We've talked about relationships. We've talked about doggies. We've talked about CERN. We've talked about disappearing workforce in CERN, which is absolutely 100% true. And we're talking about entity attachment, demonic energy and trapped spirit. We're talking about opening portals. We've talked about many things in a conversation, but that's who I am, guys. I talk about anything. I'm an open book, and I just share whatever I feel. And you might pick up things from this conversation and go away and study it, research it, think about it, think about your relationship, think about, when I say think, I don't mean think, I mean feel your relationship. Like, I don't like to say these things because I sound like a frigging spiritual guru from Bali, which makes me sick. But you know, feel it. Just go away and walk in the trees, walk in between, you know, the sea, walk somewhere where it's nature, and just, if there's one thing I could leave you with today, is that if you hold these 3 words at the most important 3 words right now of your life, it will help you, and that is the bigger picture. Those are your 3 words, and everything that you're going through, stand back, look at your life, look at your movements, look at everybody else doing what they're doing, but look for the bigger picture of why it's happening. And sometimes it might hit you like a ton of bricks. It might be a lightning strike, or it might be very gentle and subtle. But you might understand that nothing is personal. Nobody's here to hurt you. Nobody's here. No, you haven't got bad karma. You're not here to suffer. It's all about the bigger picture. And if you can start looking at the bigger picture, you might find that life becomes easier and you don't feel as bad. So if I was with you on a one-to-one, and you were sat here in front of me now, and you'd say to me, Matt, can you just show me what my life is at the moment and where I'm going, or anything, I would turn some cards over and start to speak to you. And when I was in Rome, there was a psychologist lady who was sat next to me, and she was interpreting in Italian, because I don't speak Italian. I did when I was a kid, but my clients all were coming in was Italian, so I'd start to speak, and when I'd finished the reading for like a woman, she'd say to me, this is just incredible. And I'm like, why? She says, well, these are my clients. I've been seeing them for 20 years. And I've got to a point where I'm so stuck that I don't know how to help them. And all of a sudden, as soon as you start reading, it's like you open a book about their life that I know, and you touch upon things that I didn't even realize. And now I've got something to work on. That was a beautiful compliment, right? I didn't know, I just read. So the point being is that I can read for you and give you information that you didn't even realize, you didn't know. And that's what a good reader is. A good reader will always show you things that, oh, I never saw it that way. Oh, I never thought about it that way. Oh, I didn't realize that. What if you could do that yourself? What if you could look at things in a way that you didn't realize? And that's why I share the three words, the bigger picture. Look for the bigger picture. Stop being narrow-minded. Stop being me. Stop being, in a little bubble. Step out of you. Look at you and look at what's going on as if it's not you. Look at it as if it's your best friend and you're trying to figure out why that's happening. You'll be surprised how incredible that is. And if we could teach that in schools, my God, it would be incredible. But you can't teach it in schools because darkness teaches schools. It wants you thick, it wants you stupid, it wants you one level, it wants you low level, it wants you to think the worst, it wants you to be jealous, it wants you to be angry, it wants you to be fearful, it wants you to believe that you haven't got the answers. And thus, you've got a world just like that. So I do wish you a lovely day, whatever you're doing today. Happy Easter, if you believe in Easter. He's risen. Is He's risen? Or was that just the sun rising? Love you all. Have a great day. Take care.